Perhaps humans were fated to build the monoliths, reaching heaven and returning with a gift. Stardust.
Does once human bring the breath of innovation we've been waiting for in mobile games? Or is it just a pretentious game that doesn't deliver? Stick around until the end of the video, and I'll show you and give you my honest opinion. Hey everyone, this is Johan, and today we're going to talk about the game, Once Human, which brings a different proposal both for the channel and for the mobile universe in general. And spoiler alert, it's awesome! I'm going to show the entire beginning of the game, the gameplay details, the main system mechanics, the pros and cons, and everything else. And then you can tell me if it really lives up to the hype or not. So go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's check out this game together. Come with me. Alright guys, the game starts with a deliberately slow animation with just a few lines, all voiced, by the way, and some bucolic images that convey a sense of disillusionment and abandonment, setting the tone for the game, especially in terms of narrative and aesthetics. The music also helps to enhance this, let's say, sterile atmosphere. But despite these aspects, which I see as positives, and the idea being quite clear, the execution is, in my opinion, just mediocre, which makes everything feel a bit dragged and lessens the impact it should have and could have given to the idea, which is interesting. The writing isn't brilliant either, so that doesn't help. But then, guys, comes one of the most impressive aspects of the game, which is the character creation and customization. Man, the sheer amount of customization you can do is on the level of Moonlight Blade, and I'd even risk saying going head to head with console games. So it really is impressive. You can basically customize everything. You choose whether you want a male or female character, which here the game calls type 1 and type 2, you know? I have no idea why. And then you keep customizing basically everything, and you can rotate the camera, zoom in, zoom out, focus on a part, man, try on clothes, expressions, everything, absolutely everything. So I had already recorded this video, this part of the video, but it ended up being really long because there's just so much to show. Since not everyone likes this part, and some people think it's kind of a waste of time, I decided to record it again, but faster. Still, I just want to make it clear here that it's fantastic, and for those who enjoy it, it's a real treat. When you finally finish messing around, you just pick a name and get started. So let's get to it. From there, the game moves on to a short animation of a bioscientist, it seems, doing a checkup on us until something bizarre happens in the lab and he gets his neck broken or something like that. That scene is really cool, and our heart, or rather the character's heart, starts beating. At this point, there's a very minimal, interaction until finally we find ourselves free, we break loose to explore everything around us and actually start the game. The graphics are really good, and all that character design is reflected in the doll, which is always a relief. Right away, I already liked the vibe of the game and the fact that I could start exploring and found items scattered around the environment, documents, objects to interact with, and boxes, which, in my opinion, always makes everything much more fun, you know? It's always much more interactive, more immersive. Then you head outside, where you have to investigate the body of another scientist to get a card from him and open the previously locked door. You go there, see that it's blocked, and then continue the story, kind of like Resident Evil or Silent Hill, you know? Inside, there's another cutscene, and it seems like you switch places with another version of yourself from the past or something like that. I couldn't really understand what's going on, to be honest. But there's this dimension swap maybe. And then a talking bird shows up, and it seems like it's going to be our guide in the story. And that meme there, I didn't really get this ending. To be honest, I didn't get anything at all. But it's cool, I'm enjoying it. There's still a lot of mystery to unravel. Oh, and the bizarre bird has a voice. We don't, unfortunately. The start of the actual gameplay is one of the most enjoyable things I've played in a long time, especially in the mobile world. The atmosphere is fantastic, the play of light and shadow is perfect, exploration is rewarding, as I've already mentioned, with lots of things for us to collect, and the combat is simple but fluid against enemies that perfectly fit the game's concept, the so-called deviants. I don't even need to say that I was really excited to explore everything and uncover the game's secrets. Besides that, there's also the survival aspect. After all, the game is at least partly about the story of survivors, and though it definitely explores this aspect both in the narrative and in the gameplay. So, among other things, we have to do routine human tasks. Let's put it that way, like eating and drinking water, to keep ourselves fed and hydrated. Otherwise, the character's performance is affected. There are even alerts when you're really hungry or really thirsty, for example. And the coolest part is, you can also understand the story, especially in the other part of the gameplay, which is basically the story itself. We interact with a kind of projection, I guess, called a residual image, and by doing so, we're transported to a different place, maybe another dimension, where we can see scenes from the past. This way, the game gives us context, We see what happened to different characters, which is obviously connected to the story, and that's how we get drawn into the plot. We get more and more immersed in the storyline. The downside is that I didn't see a simple way to skip all of this for those who aren't interested. Anyway, at the end of the first interaction, there's even a pretty cool cutscene, still with the game's bizarre and dark atmosphere, which I really enjoyed. Speaking of which, is the level of interaction with the environment. An example is right after this part, when we get to our house, our base, so to speak, where we can store the mayfly, which is the good deviant that we collected or rescued. There you can go and open the window, for example, collect things from the tables, read articles, and even play the piano. I'll even play a little Beethoven here for you guys on the channel. Hold on. Besides that, you can also craft weapons, including a crossbow, which is the first secondary weapon, and equip it as a secondary weapon, a long-range weapon, as well as items like arrows, using the things we collect along the way. And that adds another layer, another sense of realism to the game. You can't just go around shooting wildly with infinite arrows. Since it seems like I can't stop praising it, there's even more cool stuff. We can sync with the mayflies, those good deviants I mentioned earlier that we rescue, which gives us attributes, but also a special ability, in addition to being able to equip vests, helmets, and so on, and any piece of armor, so to speak, changes our appearance in the game. It might not seem like a big deal, but for those of you who follow the channel and the mobile gaming world in general, you know that a lot of games don't offer this possibility. An example of a game, let's say, that I consider good but doesn't have this feature would be Odin Valhalla Rising, which is an open-world MMORPG. Really beautiful, that I even covered here on the channel recently. But the only way to change your appearance is with outfits. So I'll leave it in the description for anyone who wants to check it out. But without a doubt, because of this feature, this aspect of the game is a positive point. But of course, not everything is perfect. At the end of the first part of the game, the first arc, so to speak, there's the first fight against the boss, against the main enemy. And despite the really cool introduction, and the boss actually looking threatening, like he's a giant and all that, he's super easy to defeat if you equip the crossbow. All you have to do is keep shooting, even take a swing if you want. You don't even need to get close. No? Just send the butterfly to help, right? Since we've synchronized it. And honestly, the creature doesn't even get near us. You know, a huge monster that even got its own cutscene and everything dies super fast. Pretty lame, right? Honestly, I was kind of afraid that I'd end up liking the game and it would turn out to be like Dark Souls, you know, where it takes you a year just to beat a boss. Because up until then, we'd only beaten some weak little creatures. So I thought, wow, when we get to the boss, imagine if it's something like Dark Souls, all about survival, realism, that kind of game too. But actually, it was the complete opposite, guys. And that's also bad. We were hoping it would at least be something challenging, seriously. Now we're changing our expectations. We just hope it's easy for beginners and that it gets better later on. Guys, those were my first impressions of Once Human, a game that is, above all, surprising. But not just that, it's fun, and I highly recommend it to anyone who enjoys the genre. I plan to bring more videos about the game in the future, covering other modes, systems, and everything else. So, if you enjoyed it, leave a like so I know this content interests you. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. And let me know in the comments what kind of things you'd like to see in a future Once Human video and what you enjoyed most about this video or the game itself so far. Don't forget to share so more people can find out about this game. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care and see you next time.
The smallest creatures show the greatest resilience. Wherever we remain standing.